Hello everybody, welcome to Remrov's World of Autism. In this video I want to talk more about socializing and friendships. Many autistic people, they find it very difficult to socialize. Some autistic people, they do have friends and they might even find socializing easy, but many autistic people struggle quite a lot with like socializing and making friends, and some even go through life without having any friends or just a few friends. Non-autistic people, they usually learn social skills on an unconscious level and in an intuitive way, by just observing and interacting with people around them, but this often doesn't happen that way with autistic people. Socializing will always be kind of a natural, and it doesn't go in an automatic way. It might even look like many autistic people that they don't even want friends or that they don't want contact, but you can count on that it's often exactly the opposite. They do want to have friends and they do want to have contact, but contact with people can often be very difficult and even scary, because people are very unpredictable. People can have different moods and they can respond different to things on one day than on another. People have different facial expressions, so they look different. They might just on one day look totally different than on another day, and you might have a totally different tone of voice on a different day. And this can be very scary, and it can make autistic people very insecure and confused. This is also one of the reasons why many autistic people are very into math, because it's exact, it's always the same, it's very predictable. Obviously, if you have the number pi, it will always be 3.14. It's not going to be a different number suddenly next week or tomorrow or next month. It will always be 3.14. But people, on the other hand, they change all the time. They respond in different ways, and they look different every day. Especially in the details, because autistic people tend to really focus on details, and facial expressions, for example, they have a lot of details in a person's face, and if it's constantly different, then they can really confuse autistic people, and it can make contact with people pretty, even scary and confusing. For autistic people, it's also very difficult to pick up on social cues. Things that non-autistic people pick up on automatically, it's just not picked up on by autistic people. A lot of communication is non-verbal, and autistic people are very, they find non-verbal communication extremely difficult to understand. And since a big part of communication is non-verbal, then often a lot of it is missed. We miss out of a lot of communication because of that. Like I said, socializing, it doesn't go automatically, and it often feels like unnatural. We have to literally think and calculate and overthink every single word and action, and you can imagine that that's not easy, because we do want to do the right thing. When we have friends, we do want to do the right things. We want to keep those friends, and we want to make those friends happy, and respond in the correct way, communicate in the correct way. And but it's very difficult to know what is the correct way, or what is the right thing to say, or the correct thing to respond to a person. And even more in detail, what the correct thing to say is today might not be the correct thing to say tomorrow, depending on the situation or on the mood. Again, totally different than the number pi. That will always be 3.14. When I have a friend, I always try to do the correct thing. I always try to be there for a friend and to show empathy and understanding, and I always like to help out friends and just to be a good friend. And I put a lot of effort into and a lot of thought, and but it can happen actually quite often, I think, that when I think I'm helping somebody, or when I think I'm saying the correct thing or responding in the correct way, it might not be the correct thing in that moment. It might not be what that friend needs in that moment or on that day. And yeah, that person might need something completely different in that situation, and it can be very disappointing to find that out later, and because you're trying very hard and you don't want to disappoint your friend either. An example is actually, I always want to make sure that people feel welcome to come over, and especially a good friend. I just want to make sure that a friend really knows that he's welcome to come over whenever he wants to give me a call and to come over and hang out. And often I feel like I haven't made that clear enough, and because I just want to be really sure that that person knows, that my friend knows that. And even though I mean well, instead of making it clear by saying it very, very often, the person might feel pressure instead. And well, this is totally not my intention. And of course we learn from situations and from experiences, but since again we're not talking about the number pi, we don't know how many times we should say something, or how many times we should invite somebody. What's the correct number to do this, and where lies the boundaries between not saying it enough or doing it too often and feeling somebody pressured by it. Communicating itself doesn't go automatically. And I also, I know that myself, people also have said that to me, that during the conversation I often respond with yes, very often yes, or twice yes, or even 3 times yes, like after a sentence, or, this might sound like I'm not listening, or that I'm not understanding it, or that I'm even bored, but I always listen, and I'm always interested in what people have to say and other people's stories, and I respond to yes to make sure that the person knows that I'm listening and that I am interested, and also as a confirmation that I understand what that person is saying. During a conversation there's so much information that comes in, and then my thoughts, I have a lot of thoughts, others than just yes, of course, but those thoughts, they all get like trapped in my head, and they get chaotic, and for me it's really difficult to organize all those thoughts at the same time during a conversation, and then to put that in words and to express it. So often the correct response, the way I wanted to respond, that comes out when the conversation is already over, and then after a conversation I could write a person a whole email about what my thoughts were about what he or she was saying, and that's actually a bit of a pity, because during the conversation itself I've only been saying yes, or or humming, or yeah, just saying uh-huh or yes constantly. Yeah, that might sound it might sound weird actually to other people, and I realize that, but although I'm trying very hard, um, yeah, I can't really change that. And I know that this is the same for many other autistic people. We do have things to say, but often it comes later because it gets very confusing in our and chaotic in our minds with all those words and thoughts. So yeah, it's really important also to keep in mind with autistic people. It can be very black or white with us. When I like something, when I like to do something, like hang out with a person, then I like it a lot. And then if it's up to me, I will do that as often as I can. There won't be a time that I'm not in the mood for that. While with non-autistic people, with different moods, it depends on their mood whether they want to do something or not, or maybe also because they're busy on other days and things like that. But it hardly works like that with autistic people. When we like something, we like it all the time. And when we dislike something, we will also dislike it all the time and every day. Just like the number pi. And so when an autistic person likes to hang out with you, he might want to do that like very, very often. And maybe too often for you. And I have learned from this also the hard way in the past, that people were like really tired of me, and but I still struggle with it, to find the right balance and not to pressure a person, and because it's difficult to find out what's the correct number. There's not a set rule for it. It's not. There's no standard for it. You should invite a person 3 times a week, or only once a week, or 4 times a week, or 5 times a week. And it might, it might be different with every person as well. There's so many different aspects. It depends on, and it's so unpredictable, and not like math. Unlike math, everything is unlike math. It's also very important to keep in mind that often autistic people, they do their very best with expressing things, with their thoughts, and that also has to do with the chaos in their mind, that words can come out that's like totally different than what they actually mean, and people can get hurt over that. They can hurt themselves, but they can also accidentally hurt other people. And because of this unpredictability and the insecurity that it sometimes brings along with it, some autistic people might prefer even to not have any friends or contact, just to avoid all the confusing, or even to get hurt, or to end up hurting others. And this is pretty sad, and it doesn't have to be that way, of course. I've had it in the past, that's after having many bad experiences, that I just decided, okay, no, I'll be fine by myself. Just avoid all that confusion and everything. But it's kind of sad that if it's like that, and it is that way with a lot of autistic people, and it shouldn't be that way. It is good for autistic people to keep on learning from experiences, and they will keep on learning, but they will probably never be as good at socializing as non-autistic people, and it's good to keep that in mind, and to keep in mind that they're absolutely doing their very, very best. In the meantime, I think it's good that people can meet us halfway, and many people also do that, which is totally awesome. They can show understanding for the fact that socializing is really not easy for us, and but that we're really putting 300% effort into it. And also to keep in mind that we always mean well. We really mean well, and we never mean to hurt anybody's feelings or to say or do the wrong thing. In like building friendships and relationships, it's really important to keep communicating often, and your autistic friend might need more communication about what is expected of them in a more clear way than what you're used to with non-autistic friends. And yeah, this might be a little bit of an adaptation or adaptation, however you say that word. But yeah, it's worth it, and it can really help out your autistic friend to know what you expect from them, and yeah, to avoid disappointments and confusion. This was it. I'm very curious about what all of you think. You're an autistic person, and you also have experiences with bad or good experiences with socializing, with having friends. Share it in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going and learn from each other. This was it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and stay updated about all my latest videos. I hope to see you in my next videos again. Bye!